The Futurist Mindset, featuring eWaste Tech Holdings and Fifth Avenue Capital. Hello, everyone. My name is Tessa. And before we dive into this show, I want to introduce you to our host, Regan Rodriguez. Hi, Regan. How are you?
I am doing better than I deserve. How are you doing on this Friday afternoon, Tessa?
I'm excited for the weekend, but I'm also excited to introduce you all to two very awesome people. Obviously, Regan, who's a futurist, and he teaches stratosphere wealthy legacy families how to become impact investors. And then we also have Felipe. So I'm going to add Felipe. Hello, Felipe.
Hey, good afternoon, Tessa and Regan. How are you doing today?
We were just saying that we're excited there's a Friday and for the weekend to come for sure. But you're from eWaste Tech Holdings, and I know Regan's going to give us a little background about this project.
Sure, great.
Sure. Well, one of the things that I appreciate about eWaste technology is that it embraces business models. We were talking just beforehand, Tessa, about his background in the military, and we were talking about strategies. And I still remember when I had my first call with Felipe, and he told me that they had these business models and these operational strategies. And I said, tell me more about these strategies. And he said, well, Regan, they're really based on two principles. And that's what forms the foundation of the existence of eWaste technology. I said, wow, you have me intrigued. Tell me more about that. And I remember Felipe mentioning that the importance is environment stewardship and the creation of sustainable jobs. Those are the two foundations. So I remember him mentioning to me how critical it was for the company's success, that it's not just measured by profitability, but also it's the overall impact on the environment and its ability to transform what we call distressed communities by providing those residents with kind of like a pathway to, can I say, economic freedom.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So let me also share this, why I took on this project. And it's because they have the image that I just got in my mind was a roadmap, if you will, right? That what does that do? That supports the build out of these state-of-the-art facilities for the collection, recycling, processing of electronic waste. I know that Felipe as well as Sylvia, they showed me cutting edge technologies. And one of the things that impressed me about them, about these technologies, is I saw how they were able to effectively kind of extract the process of what is collected on waste and protecting the environment and its workforce. Another thing that I thought of was about an hour or two before this, I remember seeing an email that Felipe showed me from a woman, if my memory serves me, I think her name was Annie, and she was the program director of strategic partnerships. And I think Felipe was just showing me this email. She's with the National League of Cities. I don't think I mentioned that. And he was just mentioning to me how excited he was about that partnership. Let me just say this. I'm not the only one that's excited about this project. Like I said, not just the National League of Cities. But before we have, Tessa, before we have you turn it over to Felipe, I also wanted to share that in my second Zoom meeting with Felipe, I still remember when, as soon as I mentioned to you that we've got an offer for you, I had mentioned to you that we have an appetite for this project. And this tough Army veteran began to tear up. If you remember, Felipe, when I said, look, we have an offer for you. And Felipe was very authentic with me. And he said, look, Regan, this is a startup venture. And the mission is to create groundbreaking electronic waste, right? And you also mentioned to me that these are solutions that will transform waste, people, and the community. Now I'm
I was going to say
remembering
communities, even you
community.
already
Yeah, but I
mentioned.
still remember. I'm thinking my mind's going in a lot of different directions because I remember that he was mentioning to me that they're going to. This is what's coming to me, that they want to implement a triple bottom line.
Yes.
And I said, "What is that?" And you said electronic waste. You mentioned, oh gosh,
People,
don't.
People.
It'll come to me. It'll come to me.
planet, and
But
profit.
yeah, planet, people, and profit. And then with such strong conviction, you conveyed that you believed that your solution addresses that problem. The last point before we turn it over to you, Felipe, I know you founded the company in 2018, and the pilot program launched in Richmond, Virginia,
Yes.
and that confirmed the demand and the business model. So
Sure.
eWaste Technology Holdings is a veteran-owned company. It's specializing in electronic waste management, data destruction, research and development, and waste collection, as well as a workforce development program to empower the residents of marginalized, am I saying that right? Marginalized communities. So,
Yes.
Felipe, you are now up to bat.
Well, Reagan, you did a great job giving us an overview of the company. Again,
Mhm.
everyone, thank you for the opportunity to spend some time with me today. We want to have a conversation with you about eWaste Tech Holdings and also about the environmental challenge in electronic waste. The mission of eWaste Tech Holdings is to protect the planet by properly recycling materials and turning them to valuable waste with valuable material. But at the end, also we're here to revitalize lives,
Hmm.
empower our community, and also educate our educate our businesses and our consumers about the proper disposal of electronic waste. How will e-waste tech safely and support the dispose of your e-waste? That's how
Uh-huh.
we do it. First, we're going to educate the consumer, the businesses, the government on the proper disposal of electronic waste and the human impact that it causes. Secondly, we're going to develop convenient collection facilities. So during those drives, we're able to collect, provide data destruction services, and we'll meet by the DoD and NSA guidelines, Department of Defense, and NIST guidelines. And by the way, as Reagan eloquently stated about marginalized communities, we're going to set our e-waste facilities and collection facilities in those marginalized communities. There will be certified facilities that will meet the EPA guidelines. That also, which I'm excited about, because of the rare earth element and the challenges we're dealing with in China, our urban mining strategy will allow us to remove the foreign dependence of metals and mining in the future. Very excited about that. And also, that's important because it also addresses our national security threat throughout the United States and the world. But also, what I'm more excited about is creating jobs. We have developed a workforce curriculum that will allow us to train the worker to meet them where they are. We don't care if you have a high school diploma, doesn't matter. We're here to meet you where you are. We're hiring veterans, returning citizens, chronically unemployed in marginalized communities. And what the great thing about our model, we're here to, as Reagan stated, to empower our employees. How do we do that? We're going to empower them by making sure they never had a bank account. We're going to make sure we have them work with our financial institutions. If they returning back to society, and we want to help them work with different organizations to get their records expunged. Again, we have a holistic approach of taking care of our employees. Again, we are here clearly to empower our communities and our employees. But why would you want to be a part of this venture? It's a great question. I think timing is everything. We learned from our pilot program that is a need, and it's a need all over the world. We was able to learn how to scale it and address the challenge. So electronic waste is the fastest growing commodity in the world. From 2022, the revenue challenge was $69 billion. Today, in 2030, it will be a $145 billion problem and will also continue to grow. So we feel that we have the right approach and solution to address this challenge. In addition, because of the President Biden's administration on dealing with a couple of policies, the Inflation Reduction Act and the Science and Chip Act will allow us to achieve the goals for the future of dealing with recycling and clean energy in our society, which is great news.
And I just wanted to define e-waste for people. It's all of the products that are unused. So all the old microchips, the old phones, anything that has data on it too, essentially. So computers, I mean, that's a lot of waste. I know I have a stack of old phones alone, just that, not considering the old flash drives and everything. So that's what we're talking about here. So we all touch electronic waste. That's a fact.
Well, great, Tessa, for bringing that to our attention, because it's part of our conversation. But thank you, Reagan and Tessa, you've done a great job.
Oh.
But electronic waste is everything with a plug. When you think about it, you think about.
Oh, there we go. He kind of said that a little bit. He narrowed it down.
We clearly identify what e-waste is. But again, there are verticals in e-waste. We think about recycling voting machines. Every industry that you're part of, it doesn't matter. It has some sort of technology connected to it. Mm-hmm. If you're in hotels, you're in, I don't care, your local barbershop. They have some sort of technology they're using. If it's only their cell phones or computers to make schedule, everyone, every person, every consumer has e-waste in their house, in their closets, in their garages, and for businesses, they have it in their warehouses. So you just have to know e-waste is all around us.
Yes.
But what's also important to us as well, and thank you so much, Tessa, for bringing that up.
Of course.
What's exciting for us, Reagan and Tessa and everyone on the call, our goal is to do a few things. We are here to transform waste. We are here to empower communities and lives. We are here to protect our planet. And one person, one recyclable asset at a time. And that is clearly the e-waste tech way.
Felipe, I loved how you brought it down to the lowest common denominator by saying anything with a plug. So you saw I went over here to grab my plug because it's on its last legs. And I keep thinking any minute now, this thing's going to go kapooey. I don't know if you can see, I've got.
Oh my goodness, that's a fire hazard.
Yeah. Well, I keep thinking, like, even this morning, I thought, what if this goes kapooey? And trust me, I've tried going to different electronic stores where none of them are matching the plug I want. And I'm thinking, so with something like this, you don't recommend I throw this away in the trash?
No, not at all. But again, that's the educational component that we offer. Mm-hmm. The consumer awareness campaign will allow us to educate consumers like yourself, Reagan, Tessa, businesses, to really understand the proper disposal, not only the electronics, but of also your data. Data is really your largest threat to the e-waste stream. When you think about cybersecurity, when you think about other different issues of identity theft, think about how you really dispose of your data. And the great thing about our model, we provide data destruction solutions, as I stated, by the Department of Defense and NIST standards. In addition, we'll provide you a certificate of destruction. We call it our peace of mind. So you'll have a
Wow.
peace of mind. Once you understand, you have your data, you can physically watch it. If you're a business, we can start integrating into our systems and all. So that's why be a part of this journey. Be a part of the change about electronic waste. Again, one asset, one recyclable asset, one person at a time. Be a part of something special. That's why you should consider investing in part of a project, because it meets you where you are every day. It meets the consumer every day. It meets your businesses every day. Be a part of the change. Be some part of something special. It's a global problem, but we believe with Reagan's help, we're here to solve this global issue. So
That's amazing. Well, I know I need that service. The data destruction, I have computers that I will not, I just don't know if my data is going to be off them. I'd love to be able to get them out of my house, get them out of the way. And businesses, I can't even imagine how many assets they have just sitting around because they're afraid of somebody else getting a hold of it. So that's huge. Definitely. We have comments in the chat about this that, Angeline says she loves the simple concept of people, planet, people, profit, in which this is all formed. And Douglas loves the initiative. So there's more. I just don't want to distract you too much.
Yeah,
but people
no, what I'd like you to do now, Tessa, is just kind of work your magic, share the screen and show them Firmament. Then from there, before we take questions, I'm going to wrap up with a little bit more of the ask.
Beautiful.
Are you okay with that, Tessa? Or
yes,
do you
absolutely.
Want
I will show
I
you
don't know if you're
all
ready
how
for
to
that.
get.
yes, okay.
Yes,
And
I'll show you how to get to
is
information.
working too, Tessa, if you don't mind checking it all out. Thank you.
Yes, absolutely. Okay, so if you go to Fifth Avenue, so it's 5THAAVC.com. So that's Fifth Avenue Capital. You can see the portfolio right here, and we have eWaste Tech Holdings right there. You can click on the view click on that, and that's going to open up the PDF so that you can take a look at what they are offering, and Regan will go into more depth on that. But there's this Invest Now button. Although you get into Firmament portal. Yes. So when you click on this, it's actually going to open up to show a sign up tab. So the confusing part, think of it as step 1 and step 2. That's really what it is. You put your email in, and then it's going to send you a code so that you can get in on step 2. So a lot of people I don't have an account yet. It's okay. Just put your email in there and hit to sign in. It will send you the code, and you're in the back end so you can see more information. Oh, it's not showing you. That's interesting. Okay.
Can you click where it says view
I did click in it. It's because it's opening in a new window. That's why. Okay, let's do this. I want you guys to be able to see because this is the complex part. So we're going to start the share over. Share screen. We'll just share the whole tab. All right. So I will bring it over here so that you guys can see it. It's acting. Technology. Technology likes to give us a challenge every now and then. Nope, we've got it. Here you go. Okay. So if you click on View Offering, now it should open so that we can see it. Yes, now we got it. Okay, so there's a PDF with the offering and an Invest Now button. So if you click the Invest Now, then it's going to go to a sign-in page. This is Firmament portal. Just put your email in here and hit sign in, and then it will send you a code. So what I was saying about step 1, this is step 1, and then it's going to ask you a code on step 2.
Correct.
And that's all you have to do.
You put in your email, within a few seconds, you'll get a passcode.
That's correct.
Exactly. And the
two-step
passcode.
authentication.
Exactly. And then you'll be able to see the back end.
Thank you.
Beautiful. Okay. And then Regan, I know you wanted to wrap us up after that.
I'm going to conclude by just mentioning that eWaste Technologies requires the total amount to be fully funded is $50 million. And that's what's in progress right now. The initial round is focused on $35 million. That's for corporate infrastructure, creation of the workforce program, and the development of the facilities that are planned for year 1 and year 2. At the end of the day, your investment into eWaste Technology Holdings will transform the electronic waste industry. It will empower a new workforce, and it will drive sustainable revenue. When you think about it, with corporations and governments around the world looking for ways to improve their environment and social impact, e-waste tech isn't just a good investment opportunity, it's the trifecta of a gap in the industry, the market demand, and the profit potential. Join us and we will lead the way to a better planet. And now I'll take questions from the chat.
That's beautiful. Well, thank you. Thank you. Okay. Well, I just have one thing to say before Felipe, before we kind of do the questions that are clearly right at Regan. We have a question from Tito. So he says, very insightful, and thank you for leading this effort. How much e-waste is created and what portion is actually recycled? If you don't know the answer, that's something obviously we can get back to you, but.
Well, it's a very good question. Thanks for asking that question, Tito. Currently, in the United Global world, we're only collecting only 17% of electronic waste globally. In the United States, we're only collecting 9.4% of electronic waste. So we clearly have a problem. But again, that's a great question. So that is the percentages of being collected and also in the United States. Thank you for the question.
Beautiful.
And Felipe, that gentleman Tito, I got together with this week for a cup of coffee, and then just 2 days later, or yesterday, excuse me, I saw someone else that just put something, Mitch Sweargold, great guy. I'm going to introduce him to you, Felipe. He's the gentleman I had coffee with yesterday.
Oh,
do you remember when we were going over this and I'm like, I've got to go. The coffee shop's like 5 minutes from where I'm at, so I had to shut my laptop. And I met with this gentleman, Mitch Sweargold. Phenomenal guy. You will love him, Felipe. He's a graduate from Columbia, also has a law degree from Elon there in North Carolina. Great guy. He's from New York, lived here most of his, it's been here. So he's saying, sounds fascinating. Thanks for doing this call, Regan. My point is, I'd like to connect you with this gentleman, Mr. Sweargold, as well as Tito Garcia. Go ahead, though, Tessa. I kind of
no, that's okay. No, that's perfect. I mean, we actually have a question that's it applies. It's from Glenn, and I can ask that. I can obviously let Felipe go into the back office, and you can explain a little bit more about how we do it. An unaccredited investors. Are you ready for that?
You want me to talk on that?
Just a quick second, just to say that you don't have to be an accredited investor to go to the portal, right?
And I just have to say, we're big fans of Glenn and the Silver Swan team, right? So
they were on our last show. So if you haven't, yes, you can go see about Silver Swan Group on Regan's YouTube channel too. And Glenn's a blast, so you'll love him.
He is. So that is the unique thing about the cafe, is that they don't have to be accredited investors, nor do they need a social security number. So for the first time in history, you can raise capital with foreign investors. So we've got investors, and I'll give you an example of the type of investors that like to invest in this. That owner of a diamond mine in Africa or a gold mine that is the top 1% in the continent of Africa. And they would like to deploy some of that capital in what might be a safer haven, right?
It's
like this project. So so you can also get somebody that's part of the 1% in India. And the same thing, they're thinking, I can now invest in something without having a social security number. And eventually, if those tokens, which are their security, eventually, if we do decide to take this company to go public, now for the first time in history, those people that didn't have a social security number will now be able to take advantage of the New York Stock Exchange. So now to kind of answer the question. To answer the question for you, there's just a little section on there that they just need to change so that it's welcome for everybody. Do you want to talk on that, Tessa?
Well, actually,
Or
yes, on this profile, if you sign up and you don't see the code right away, that's just because they have specifically for this e-waste one, they have it on lockdown a little bit more. We were trying to get it unlocked right before we went live so everyone can do it. But if you don't get your code right away, that just be patient. They'll approve you and get that over to you. That's only caveat. Beautiful. Well, this
so
is
there's
exciting. I know you've
a
done a great
question.
job talking about the opportunity. Do we get to ask you a question now?
Go ahead. I
We
think
do
I
have
saw
some
something.
people.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Which I'm looking at Don Martin's. He
Oh,
is a
perfect.
former client of mine. I like his. Go ahead.
No, that's okay. So Don Martin, what is his? I'm trying to find him right now. I would put it on the
Let's
screen,
see.
but do you want to go ahead and read it out loud?
Yeah, I do see it. What he is it more to the bottom or to the top? I just saw it.
We have a couple. I have one from Cora, and that's that she's known you for years and know about that you're all about personal growth and is asking you to talk about some mindset, the mindset of business owners when they say that's just how I am.
I'll get to that one.
Okay,
That's good. That's
that's
good.
a good question.
Don's,
Okay, we're going to
I
put you,
just
Cora.
saw his question was, he said, do even the ultra affluent investors you speak to have limitations and mental blocks?
Mm,
That's a good question. I'm going to address that one.
yes.
Okay. Think of this, guys, and you are quietly affirming things to yourself throughout the day without conscious direction or selection. I was talking to Mitch about that yesterday. It's part of our human nature, right? As you become more aware of that, can I say force that is in your internal dialogue, what you want to do is you want to become the master of your, can I use the word performance or that potential?
Yes.
One of the things I do is I hand select the thoughts that I want to accept as my personal beliefs and standards. Mitch, we talked a lot about beliefs yesterday as well. So now let's talk about the goal, right? Because I see questions on that. Well, how would you do that? Okay, here it is. Create daily affirmations that will empower your performance. Create a daily affirmation that will empower your performance and then say it to yourself often. Arya, can you read Arya's question? I
Oh,
know
yes.
he's on vacation from Arizona, and I told him you don't have to log on. He's an intern of mine from
He
Utah
does have
last
a
week.
question
I'm
for
like,
you.
enjoy your time with your vacation. Sends me another email and he says, Mr. Rodriguez, I insist. I was like, no, enjoy your time with your family. So he didn't listen to a damn thing I said, which is okay. What's his
That's okay.
question?
So Regan asks, you talk a lot about your thoughts and how they become your words and your words become your actions. So it's very much what you were just saying to us, those affirmations. But can you expand on that for us?
I will. That is a topic I like talking about. Yes. Your thoughts become your words become your actions become your habits, and your habit becomes your identity.
Mhm.
So affirmations reinforce who you are and who you want to be. You must, I didn't say you have to, you must believe in yourself, even if those around you don't. What you believe and affirm to yourself is who you are and who you become.
Oh, that's perfect.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Well,
Is
thank
there,
you,
I see
Regan.
another question from Gerald.
Oh, yes, to talk about the uncertainty, about
Yeah,
uncertainty and the
please.
future.
I just think in the right order. I just, the way my mind thinks, I just read it and I was,
No, it's
go ahead,
perfect.
read it out loud.
Yes. So, Regan, can you talk about uncertainty and the future? I think this is
The
something
future.
that's on everybody's minds as we have.
Yeah.
Challenging times occasionally.
And it was also the conversation I had with Mitch yesterday as well. Yes, most people do have limitations and mental blocks around kind of that next level of success or their wealth. One of the best ways that I have just found to create awareness in this area is to think about what you desire for your income. And then, Tessa, we talked about this last week. Consider what makes you uncomfortable and then reaching it, right? Reaching that amount. I think last week we mentioned the number 500,000. So
Yes.
is it the amount of money that you feel you're worth, but for some reason not making it yet? Is it the amount of money you can actually identify with? Is it maybe the fear of losing what you already have? Is it the fear of what money may bring to your life? Maybe you haven't made more than a certain amount and your goals might feel kind of unrealistic to you. So now let's talk about a goal we can put around that. Identify one thing you are uncertain about regarding your future. And then one thing that you are certain about. I was looking to see if there was another question in regards to that. I'm glancing at some other questions. Let's talk about
We
this.
have a lot of questions today, so thank you all for submitting your questions. We are here with you, and if we don't get to your question, we can always cover it on the next show, so don't worry.
Yeah, let me talk on another point I heard. So here's how you would go about that, okay? Let me share it again. Identify one thing you're uncertain about regarding your future and one thing you are certain about. So there's no right or wrong in how you feel. You're just scanning for frustrations or fears or doubts that come into your mind, right? You're only focused on what may or may not serve your financial goals. So just maybe take a few minutes. This is what I do, and allow that potential fear or that limiting thought, allow it to come out. It's usually the first thing that comes to mind, and then turn it into something opposite. Now, because I know one thing about you, Tessa, you're very good at focusing on the why when you're going to do something. Yes. And the emotion around it. So let's talk about your limitations in any area of your work or your life. Here's what I want to actually say on that. Your limitations in any area, whether of your work or your life, they're typically passed down and modeled by those around you unconsciously. So chances are that what you believe about what's possible today is totally different than how I'm just thinking great-great-grandparents thought, right? If you don't identify limiting beliefs in the image I'm getting is like a path. You want to have like a path to growth. And you'll continue to, if you don't, okay, so what you want to do is you want to have, let me go back to where I was at. If you don't identify those limiting beliefs in your path towards growth, then you'll continue to struggle and make justifications for things not being different. I've done that. You have that. Let's remember this. You have that unlimited capability to raise your standards and align your beliefs and habits around your finances.
Oh, I love it. And money beliefs are huge. I did a show once that talked about different money beliefs, like, I believe money is the root of all evil, or whatever it is that's been passed down from you, right? From your belief system. It could be that you have to work hard to succeed at business. But a lot of these things, if that were the case, then you'd see everyone who worked hard is a millionaire, but that's not, it's all just things in your head. So I completely agree. And I think that setting your goal, like my goal, we talked about about 500,000. Like that's doubling, anything that I've ever seen in my whole lifetime in terms of my own abilities. But as soon as I put my own limitations, like I can't get this, then I am limiting my own progress. So you have to like you said, reframe whatever it is that I think I can't do or whatever's holding me back, right? So how that becomes your affirmation, right? I see myself as making this much. I see myself as doing this, accomplishing a program that's going to impact so many lives. Like Felipe, you see yourself, you're turning it around in your head, right?
That's right. Now, let's take that question from Cora. And I've
Yes.
known Cora for years. She also lives in that DC area near Felipe. Felipe, you know Cora as well, don't you?
Oh, he does.
Cora Net Solutions.
Yeah,
Oh, he's
absolutely.
not on yet. Yeah,
Yes,
yeah.
sir.
Yes, he's
Um,
hearing you though. So
Yes.
yes.
Go ahead and read her question for me, please.
Yes. So it says, Regan, I've known you for years, and I know you to be a man that is all about personal growth. Would you talk a little bit about mindsets some business owners have when they say, that's just how I am?
Oh, that's just how I am.
Like,
That is so weak. That's what I think. Can you see why that's so weak?
yeah, that makes sense.
Weak
It's a
because
scapegoat, right?
good. That's good. I didn't think of that. Thank you, Tessa. It's weak because it's of the belief that who and how you have been being has anything to do with who and how you can be moving forward.
Mm.
In other words, be the best you now.
Oh, I love
I
that.
love working with this kind of thinking because it's a ground for growth. Right? Oh, I just thought of the perfect word to use. It's a breeding. Oh, I thought even of a better word. It's a. I was thinking it's a breeding ground for growth. Since yesterday, my conversation with Mitch, we talked a lot about quantum physics. I thought of this. Here's what it is. It's a bona fide breeding ground for quantum growth.
Oh,
So,
wow.
yeah, when you get why it's weak and permit history to govern you and fail to remember that you are a dynamic entity that can rewire your neurology by upgrading the way you choose to see life and yourself. And then your life expands exponentially.
Oh, it fills the space. Absolutely. Well, that was an excellent final thought. I can't get any better than that. Thank you, Regan.
Thank you very much.
So
Yeah,
you
I
all
was
out
going
there,
to pat myself. Was good.
right? You're like, that was good. We'll be making that into little clips. Absolutely.
And I want to
You
say hello to
all,
Gus Tucker. I see that I've known Gus Tucker for almost 30 years. And coincidentally, when I had my first conversation with Felipe, he said that somehow in his conversation, he was talking to Gus and he goes, I'm talking to a few people that are going to help me raise capital. I've got this one guy named Regan. And he's like, Regan Rodriguez? I know who that guy is. So I see that Gus Tucker's on there. And let me tell you, Felipe, Gus does have some advice for you.
Okay.
That I learned
Yes,
from him
Touch
30
with
years
Gus
ago.
Tucker. He's on the channel right now, and he just watched our show for today. So
Yeah,
Yes.
he's
excellent.
has an MBA from the University of Chicago. He is a smart man. And one thing he's taught me is that believe in everybody, depend on no one, expect the best, but be mentally prepared for the worst. And that's what you have to embrace when you're raising capital. Believe in everybody, depend on no one, expect the best, but be mentally prepared for the worst.
Oh Wow. Thank you so much, Regan. I mean, all of our shows, we bring tons of value. You bring tons of value for people just in their everyday lives, but also in their investment and how they can grow their wealth. So thank you again for this week. Now, we are here every Friday, and it's specifically at noon Eastern time. So make sure you hit the reminder bell so you know when we're going live, and follow Regan. Go check out Fifth Avenue Capital. He just has so much information. And if you want to find out more about eWaste Tech Holdings, obviously you can reach out to Felipe, and all of the information is on the Fifth Avenue Capital website, everyone. So I hope you all have a blessed week. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you, Tessa.
Thanks.